Hello, this is Peter Kritsch, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Biology 1. Biology 1, this observation should be taking place during 4th hour, and I'm listing Angela Schmidt here for reasons I'll get into in just a bit. Grade level for Biology 1, this is a first semester class that is available for 9th and 10th grade students. Biology 1 simply because we cover other topics in Biology 2 during second semester. The overall goal and purpose and priorities of this particular class, it's to introduce the students to cell and molecular biology of living organisms. Additionally, we hope to help students practice how they analyze experimental results and helping them to design what comes next based on those results. Additionally, in first semester biology and all throughout biology this year, what we'd like to emphasize is not just how that process should work, but if you truly understand how it works, then let's talk about how that system sometimes fails. And so we get into some interesting topics such as diabetes and cancer, and I'll explain that here in just a bit too. Where we've been so far, we started off by taking a look in the cell unit at cell parts and starting to relate to not just what those parts do, but understanding their direct role in different things. So like with mitochondria, beginning to look at cellular respiration, ribosomes looking at their role in translation and protein synthesis. We also look at osmosis and diffusion, and in order to truly understand that, we look at cell membranes and how cell membranes are put together with lipids and proteins, and how in this case, if those cell membrane receptors and channels aren't working correctly, that can lead to diabetes. Cell division, we take a look at how cells go from 1 to 2 cells, not just body cells, but sex cells. So we learn about mitosis and meiosis. We learn about the cell cycle and how the cell can check itself and make sure that it's doing all the steps correctly, and how errors in either mitosis or meiosis can lead to cancer or Down syndrome. We just recently wrapped up our DNA unit looking at DNA structure and function, how DNA replicates, which is a neat connection back to mitosis. We learn how DNA codes for proteins, and so we learn about transcription and translation. We learn about a wide variety, at least 10 different types of proteins, how those proteins are built out of amino acids, and that the shape of that protein is extremely important for it to work. And we wrap up by taking a look at mutations, how simple changes in the DNA sequence can lead to major changes in the shape of that protein, small changes, or even no change. And so they get to practice what they've learned about DNA, proteins, and protein synthesis. And currently, we're in the genetics unit. We started this about 10 days or so ago, and we're learning how traits are inherited. Where we're going next, we're going to be moving into a short unit on genetic disorders and also genetic testing. This is an extension of the if you understand how it works, then let's take a look how it sometimes doesn't work sort of concept. And students have been assigned a genetic disorder to research starting at the beginning of October. Week by week they've been learning about the symptoms, how common that disorder is, and the treatments, and a variety of other things. They just recently learned about the gene, the chromosome, and the protein involved with this genetic disorder, and they've also researched what that protein normally does. Importantly, if that protein doesn't work, how does it lead back to the symptoms that they learned in the first week? And they've also been working on trying to explain what it would be like to live with that disorder. They'll put together a brochure and a presentation that they'll give right before the holiday break. And we'll tie that together with some genetic testing as well. Natural selection will be the unit that we cover right after the holiday break. Thursday, well, students have been learning using a lot of online presentations. Angela and I decided last year that we wanted to do a little bit more teamwork on our lessons, that if we were teaching the same thing at the same time in different rooms, it didn't make sense to be giving the same presentations. And so we have the opportunity this year, well, only during 4th hour, but we have this opportunity to try this out for this first part of the unit. And so students have been moving at their own pace using these online presentation videos that we've put together. which has allowed us to be able to provide some enrichment opportunities and then also work with students in small group settings who might need a little bit more assistance. Things that we couldn't do if we were lecturing in separate rooms at the same time. So students are moving at their own pace. Some are moving on to these enrichment opportunities like chi-square analysis to determine the validity of data, or Hardy-Weinberg equations to look at how common the carriers of genetic disorders are. Others are needing extra assistance, and so we've been meeting together with them in small groups. Along the way, they've been doing little mini quizzes to check their understanding on about 4 or 5 different types of genetics problems, as well as the labs that they've been working on. But all students have a mid-unit assessment tomorrow where they're going to be asked to demonstrate their understanding of all types of the genetics problems. So you're going to see a whole bunch of different things today. It all depends on where students are at, and at the moment, not really sure what that's going to look like. So I'll be interested to see that as well. That's about it. Looking forward to having you all stop in, and looking forward to your questions and observations.